Of course, this assumes that you have high enough triglycerides that lowering them further will indeed lower ApoB. And it, of course, assumes you're eating a high enough amount of saturated fat that reducing it significantly will lower ApoB. So let's assume for a moment that those things are true. We're talking to a patient, Tom, whose ApoB is 100 milligrams per deciliter. You know, you and I have just kind of, I don't want to say read him the riot act, but we've given him the education that says, look, you'd be a heck of a lot better off if you were at 60 milligrams per deciliter. His triglycerides are sitting at about 162 milligrams per deciliter. And when we query his diet, we realize it's pretty high in saturated fat. He's probably getting, call it, 40 or 50% of his calories from fat. And he's probably getting, 50, 60 grams per day of saturated fat alone. So in other words, he seems like a really ideal candidate if he's willing to switch more of his fat calories to monounsaturated and polyunsaturated, or even just reduce fat altogether. And he's willing to take the dietary steps to reduce total calories and maybe even carbohydrates specifically to kind of bring down his triglycerides. So without getting into how he's going to do that, can you explain why lowering triglycerides and lowering saturated fat intake, those two things, could bring this guy from 100 down to 60?
Sure. The saturated fat is a little easier to explain